Aren't you done chasing girls who barely give you attention? Well, today I'm teaching you how to get girls to chase you for once. But not with cheap techniques, really getting girls to chase you because they want to engage with you. If you try to flirt before she's engaged, bro, you're gonna crash and burn and end up alone. If you don't wanna end up looking silly, you need to match her level of interest and then you lead. Maybe you're uncomfortable when you're in front of a girl, as in you always try to make a move very quick, or you try to leave the interaction very quick, but it's important that you stay in this middle ground zone, especially if she's a very hot, very demanded girl, because those girls always need some warm-up, but more on that later in the video. Maybe this is you meet a girl and you show your interest because you're trying to make something happen with her, but you notice that she's kind of lukewarm. You know, she's not saying no, but she's not really saying yes either. You're trying to flirt with her, maybe show your interest, give compliments, try to lead the conversation somewhere, and you notice that she's not saying no, but she's kind of resistant. It's not very smooth. It's a problem because if you escalate your interaction with a girl too early, she's gonna think that you're pushy. But on the other hand, if you do nothing, well, nothing is going to happen. So you need to find this right balance where you're going to lead your interactions while actually having girls work for it. If you don't know me, my name is Max. Nice to meet you. I've been traveling the world, I've been dating hundreds of girls, and I've been coaching guys for years. To get a girl to chase you, you need to make her want it, and you need to give her space to chase you. There is no need to close the gap, okay? You know how people say that a relationship is one where both partners are going to meet halfway? Well, when you want to get girls to chase, it's pretty much what you're going to do. You're going to make her want to do her half of the way towards you. To be honest, it's a real problem because most guys I meet when I hang out, guys who are outside of all the seduction community, they don't know how to get girls to chase them, and in fact, they never got a single girl to ever chase them in their entire life. Imagine living a life in which you never had a girl try to actually get you. Because every time I go out to parties, to the clubs, to meetups, to social events, I see guys spending the whole night trying to chase girls. They buy them drinks, they invite them at their table, they make the small talk for 3 hours before the girls tell them, hey, I'm gonna go back home with my friends, and the guys goes home alone. And something tells me that if you're watching this video, this happened to you a lot before. I think the worst was last time I went to a networking event where I saw the most average girl ever being approached by a bunch of guys, and while I was talking to my friend, I was listening to them next to me, and there was this girl giving a strong no, don't talk to me energy, and I was listening to guys come up to her and tell her, hey, do you want me to buy you a drink? That was the weirdest, weakest, most cringe pickup attempt I've ever seen in my life. But hey, I'm not saying this to criticize, I'm saying this because this is what most guys think work. But in reality, it doesn't. Here is the truth. You can't push you down the throat of someone who doesn't want you. You can't push value down the throat of people who don't want that value. Where most guys are going to walk 100% of the way to the girl, you're going to walk 50% of your way towards her, and you're going to make her want to walk her own 50% of the way towards you. This is what will look like she's chasing. Picture this the same way you would picture a cat playing with a string. If you dangle the string in front of the cat is gonna try to grab it. But if you throw it on the face of the cat is gonna go away from you. Getting women to chase you is all about that. You show them that you have value, you agitate this value in front of them, and then you wait. You don't try to push women who don't find what you have valuable to act on it. If you dangle that string in front of a cat and the cat doesn't play with it, throwing it on the face of the cat is not going to make the cat want to play with it. So you can do pretty much of a similar parallel with women in general. If you go up to them and you show value and they don't find it valuable to them, pushing further is not gonna make a change. The only situation in which you can get women to chase, which is also the only situation in which you can actually end up on a date or sleeping with those women, is to show them that you have value and then you wait for them to close the gap. You go 50% of the way, you open the door, you show them from that 50% half part of the way, you show them that the door is open and that there is value through that door, but it's not on you to have them walk their 50% of the way, okay? It's on you to show them that the opportunity and the value is there and the door is open, but it's on them to walk their part towards you. They have to meet you halfway there. Now, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't lead, okay? You should lead as in you should show them that the door is open and that you are walking half the way towards them. but you never walk 100% of the way towards a woman. You walk 50% of the way and you show them that the door is open. What they do next is up to them. And I think that's a problem with a lot of the seduction and pickup techniques. It's guys trying to find smart ways to do 100% of the way towards the girl. But in reality, that's not how you make girls want you more. That's not how you get a girl more attracted to you. The way to get a girl more attracted to you is to properly walk your 50% of the way while staying attractive, properly opening the door, like leading the interaction and making her want to walk her 50% of the way. It's not about you walking 100% of the way and making her want to do nothing. So with that in mind, I understand that everyone always says that you should always be closing, you should always move the girl to the next stage, but that's not how it works. If you lead too hard like that, you're gonna lose all the girls and you're gonna look super pushy. You need to always meet her at her current energy level or you're going to fuck everything up. And it reminds me of this time I met a girl in a party and I went and I said hi to her. She was super sexy, fake tits and everything. And I said hi to her and she was very receptive, and immediately after I started grabbing her hand and trying to read the lines of her hand, but for her it was too early. She was not comfortable doing this yet, and immediately from that point she started to think I was creepy because I escalated too quick. Now, it's not necessarily a mistake all the time in all cases. Some girls, they will like it, but for this girl in particular, what I did is that I moved to the next layer of intimacy with her before she was ready to meet me there. What I should have done instead is that after starting the conversation on a more superficial level, I should have waited her more at that level. I should have waited for her to chase me at that top layer superficial level before I would escalate what was happening between us. Now, before I told you that you should not invest in a girl more than she invests in you, and that's very important because you should see your interactions with women as layered. And there are different layers of intimacy. That is to say, for example, when you start the conversation with a girl, it's pretty superficial. None of you guys is supposed to show too much interest, too much investment. And the goal is that you're going to lead layer through layer, and while you do so, you're going to look for her investment. If she does not invest or chase or show interest or anything like that, you're not gonna go to the next layer of your intimacy, of your escalation. Because if you do that, you're gonna be the one who is pushy, okay? In general, when you meet a girl who's at least attractive, she's not gonna go through the layers for you, and she's not going to stay in the interaction if you go through all the layers and you leave her at the top layer. For example, if you try to be intimate, which is a lower layer, while she's still superficial, okay? You have to move through the layers with her. And the way you do this, again, is by leading to the first layer. For example, starting the conversation, and you see if she meets you halfway at that layer by, for example, asking you questions back. If you notice that this layer is passed, you go to the next layer, which would be, for example, to make the conversation a bit more intimate, or to tell her, let's go have a drink together over there. And then you see if she meets you halfway there. Now, when I explain it right now, it's a lot about leading, but in real life, it's not about making propositions all the time. It's not about you leading obviously to the next step all the time. In most cases, the girl is going to help you go to the next step if you make her want it enough. More on that later. But the idea is that you're not going to invest too much further away from what the girl is investing. You're going to match her level of investment, and you're going to match the layer she's in. Yes, you're going to be doing the first move towards the next layer all the time because you're the one leading, but you have to wait for her to meet you at the layer you're at. So I'm going to give you a simplified idea of those layers right now, just so that you understand what we are going for. At first, it's going to be neutral small talk. You see if she's able to hook in a conversation with you and if she wants to meet you there. If she's receptive and she meets you there and she's open to enter a conversation, you're gonna lead that to the next stage, which is to DHV yourself, or in other words, show her why you're interesting, make her feel emotions, get her emotions to spike a little bit so that she snaps out of autopilot mode. So for example, you share a few stories about you and you see if she meets you there, or you make a few jokes and you see how she reacts. And the goal here is just to drop your value there, to drop your story, to drop your joke, and you see if after this, well, first you see if she reacts positively, but then you see if after this she's willing to make her 50% of the way towards you. For example, you tell a girl, hey, yeah, you know, I have my online business. And then you see if she's going to chase to get to know a little bit more about you. In practice, it will look like, oh, what do you do? Like, what kind of business? Notice the difference between this, telling a girl that you have an online business and waiting for her to ask you more about it, or just telling a girl that you have an online business, that you sell shoes and that you're shipping to China and America. In the first example, you're doing 50% of the way and you're seeing if she's willing to do the other 50%. In the second example, you're doing 100% of the way and she's just waiting there doing nothing. And it's funny because a lot of times guys are going to think, oh, but this girl is not investing in me. But bro, you didn't leave her any space to invest anything in you. Like, what do you want her to do if you already did everything? Even if she wanted to talk to you and to get to know you more, she can't do anything because you already did all the work for her. So trust in the fact that she may be interested and she may be willing to do some of the work. I think it's a good mindset shift when you come from the idea that you're gonna try to get all girls to like you. If you go from there and you now try to get all girls to see that you're going 50% of the way, to notice those who do their own 50% of the way, it's gonna change everything. From now on, your job is not to do everything for girls to see that you are attractive. Your job is to make them want to know more about you. I talk more about this in my free course. It's 4 parts, 50 minutes video, totally free. You can find the link below this video. I put a bunch of those techniques to generate attraction between you and a girl to make her want to get to know more about you. Now, if you meet a normal girl, this is gonna be enough. You do 50% of the way, she's gonna see that you need her to do her own 50% of the way. If she's an average to kinda cute, kinda attractive girl and she likes you, she's gonna do her 50% of the way. Now, it's not totally the same when it's a very hot, very demanded girl like a model, for example. I remember this one time when I was working in a club, I met this group of Ukrainian models. They were paid by the club to be there, actually, very funny story. But anyways, I went up to those girls and I told them, how do I say you are a dog in Russian? And they told me how to say you are a dog in Russian. And then I went to the club, to every single girl in the club, and I told them in Russian, you're a dog. At first, every single girl in the club ignored me. Maybe a couple, they were like, haha, that's funny, you can speak Russian. But at first, they all ignored me. Eventually, I went back to my party, I was talking to my friend, and at some point, there was one of those Ukrainian girls next to me. And while I was talking to my friends, she was like, hey, you are the dog boy. Eventually, because I didn't chase hard, because I held this space for very long, because it was obvious to her that I was willing to walk away if she was not walking her 50% of the way, she actually eventually took this as an honest signal that I am not needy, and she eventually tried to re-engage the conversation with me. Now, of course, because she's a model and she's pretty, she was very dismissive in the way she came back to have a conversation with me. She didn't show, obviously, that she was interested, but I was able to lead this conversation to the next layer. Remember, that's all that we're doing. We are leading layer through layer. And in general, that's just the way it goes with very demanded, very attractive girls. You're going to set the frame with the first layer, and she's not necessarily immediately going to comply with that. Maybe she's going to give you some shit, maybe she's going to make you wait a little bit or work a little bit more for her. It doesn't mean that you should actually do that work for her. Really do 50% of the way and then you wait there. And keep in mind that very attractive girls, they are going to look like they are not interested, so it's okay to try again a little bit later. I know this is more advanced, but if you reached that far in the video, it means that you're actually interested in the topic, so it's important for you to understand that you can get pretty much any girl who is interested in you to chase you, but if she's a more demanded girl, there's gonna be a little bit more latency between your efforts and when she actually tries to chase you back. Very often, you're gonna have to spend more time on the layer you're at before she meets you halfway. It doesn't mean that you have to show more interest. It doesn't mean that you have to show more effort. In most cases, it just means that you have to spend a little bit more time on that layer. You can see trying to date hot girls as really the end level, the place where you can't really make mistakes, but the principle is the same no matter the girl. You lead the conversation by reaching a specific layer where you're at in the conversation in terms of her intimacy and her comfort. At that layer, you do 50% of the way and you show her that the door is open, and then you give her space for her to decide whether or not she wants to walk her 50% of the way. Now, obviously, when you do this, it's very important that you don't run out of things to say. And if you don't know how to do that, again, check out the links below this video. I have a bunch of guides. At the end of the day, if she's not matching your energy and she's not chasing you, it's because you're not reading the room. You're going too far, too soon. Go halfway and wait for her. Wait to see if she's going to meet you there.